Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back to the Gains Report. I'm your host with the most, Jarius, along with my co-host,
Dad.
aka James, aka Grandmaster Boogie Doll. Anyway, we are here again with the Gains Report, and today we're bringing you a special episode because it is Sunday's predictions. And we are going to be making Sunday's predictions for January 11, 2026 for the game showing up. All right, so starting off first, we have the Spurs versus
The Timberwolves.
the Minnesota Timberwolves. What you thinking? What you think is gonna happen in that throwdown?
Well,
What does Minnesota have to stop the Castle Wembanyama assault?
Randall and Edwards. That's right. Julius. Not Irving, but Randall. And he's been on the chair over the past month. He's averaging a double-double. And Anthony Edwards is basically rounding back into form because he was injured, had a bad wheel, and he's been doing quite well. Yes, they did lose the other night to Cleveland. So, they're coming off of that loss, but they'll be back home they'll be back home in Minnesota, and I expect it to be a really tough game. I mean, granted, San Antonio had that tough game in Boston on Friday, so I truly expect them to maybe be down a notch. And Rudy can hold his own with he can slow down Wemby. You can't stop him, but he can slow him down a little bit. And Minnesota's built big. They got Nas Reed as well. And Randall, Randall's 260 pounds. Wemby's only 210. I mean, so
Okay.
yeah. So
I'll just say, you know what? The Spurs have been on a dynamite run this season. Coming off that victory, I think, in the in-season championship against the OKC Thunder, I believe it was.
yeah, but
They dethroned them.
but we beat them. So
Yeah, but they dethroned them. I mean, and then they're coming off
Dethrone who?
the victorious OKC. I mean, they witnessed the impact. I mean, for me right now, I'm looking at it like this. They're coming off of that victory over Boston right now with the one of the predictions of player of the week, not our player of the week, but a lot of other people's player of the week, Jaylen Brown. They're stopping Jaylen Brown, and their second half presence and Wembanyama's second half presence is phenomenal. I mean, the kid he's generational in his height and his athleticism, but I do see certain issues coming up with that in the future.
Listen, at the end of the day, the Timberwolves should win this by a small favorite. They're a small favorite. The spread is 2.5 points, okay? And they're strong at home, all right? And they've handled the Spurs in recent matchups. The over-under is 235. I would lean with the over because, in the Western Conference, they don't play defense, okay? Well, actually, I can't say that. Minnesota is one of the top-rated defenses in the Western Conference. So, if I was doing this, yes, I would take the spread. As far as the spread, I'd say the Timberwolves would cover the 2.5, and I'd go with the under, not the over.
Okay, so you think it's going to be under 235 in the end result?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what do you, okay? So like if you're gonna say it's gonna be under, right? What's your guarantee? Like what's your guaranteed, I guess, theory towards the under? If people were looking at you as a person guaranteed for making their bets, what's your prediction?
San Antonio's a young team. They play every game hard. Okay. Over the past week, the games that they've played, they haven't scored a lot. But the teams they played against hasn't scored a lot either. So it's been a tussle. They've slowed the game down. They're playing half-court possessions. Half-court possessions mean less points. Minnesota is great for that because they're built that way. They're built for threes and they're built for half-court defense. This will be a low-scoring game. I'm looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves pulling this out, maybe a 115-110 thing. No, I'm sorry. A 105-100. That's
Okay.
what I'm looking at the score being.
All right. Well, I will say this game is probably going to be tight in the betting market. But the home team edge and the offensive balance of Minnesota will probably put them as a favorite in many of the models for betting. the predictive models. Moving on to the Magic versus the Pelicans. What do you see going on there? I mean, they're listed as favorites, I believe, with the spread under. I think it's an under spread for 6.5, with the total being around 234. So a lot of 230s in this coming up Sunday games. A lot of high score games. So what are you thinking about the Magic's cover on the negative 6.5?
You're in New Orleans, okay, and you know all of the modules say the Magic will cover the 6.5 points, okay. That's what they say. The points is 234, which both teams play methodical half court basketball, okay. They don't run, okay, because they're not. Well, they New Orleans case they're built to run, but Orlando plays top notch defense. They shut down everyone. However, I got to tell you something. I would go with New Orleans. Over the past week and a half, they've lost. They do that, but they're not getting killed. Okay, if that makes sense. I think no, Charlotte destroyed them. Yeah, they did. But they're home. Orlando's not that type of an explosive offensive team. So, I mean, can the Magic cover that 6.5? I don't know. I'm not. Me personally,
Yeah.
If it was me,
yeah.
I'd take New Orleans and the points. 234, that's a bit much. Okay.
Well, if you're gonna average this out, what would you put that at? What do you think the points?
Okay.
Because Marcus is saying 234 234 and a half, 235. Where are you looking?
Well, the reason why the point spread is so high is because they're looking at Orlando to blow out New Orleans. So I'm like,
well, I mean, is Zion gonna be playing?
Yeah, Zion's playing. I mean, Zion can get you. Zion will get you 30. They don't have much. I mean, they got Queen at center. They got Zion. I can't remember the other young man's name off the top of my head. But again, this will be under 234. Orlando will probably win, but again, it'll be a close game in New Orleans.
Okay.
In New Orleans, Orlando may win, but they're not going to cover.
All right.
So.
All right. Going on, we're going to the Memphis Grizzlies and the Nets. Got another 6.5 points with 222.5 on the total. Now, right now, the Grizzlies are predicted to win and cover the 6.5 points. However, both teams, if they play structured styles, they can keep deliberate possessions and they can keep some contested shots out there. So, what do you? I don't see the Grizzlies stomping a full mud hole in the Nets today, but I don't think they've been showing any time. I don't think they've been showing any slowing down anytime soon. Ja seems to be kicking into his old self. Edie seems to be getting used to his position. I mean, they're looking like a well-oiled. Desmond Bain is playing dodgeball still. Oh, he's not on the Grizzlies anymore. I apologize. But he's still playing dodgeball, so I feel like that energy is racketeering towards them. But, what do you think is going on in the Grizzlies?
Memphis is huge. With Edie and JJJ. Jaren Jackson Jr.
Oh, I forgot.
And Morant. I mean, Morant's part of trade rumors, so he's just out playing ball. He could care less at this point because he thinks he's getting traded.
The grenade and pistol brand.
Exactly. So it's like
tactical support.
They're the Grizzlies are transitioning. Brooklyn is just they're playing. Okay. Again, I hate to side against you on this, okay? Brooklyn is at home, okay? And they're going to both run up and down the court. Ja going to run and Brooklyn going to run because that's all they got is kids. They're going to run and shoot threes. Again, I would expect the Timberwolves to win. I would definitely expect them to. The Memphis Grizzlies to win.
Okay.
I would look at them to win by more than 6 points. But they damn sure between both teams going to go over that 222.
Oh, Oh, for sure.
You know.
Top tier scorers.
So, will the Grizzlies win? I got them to win, but they ain't covering.
No.
I got them to win. I got them to cover, but lean to the over.
Okay.
Not the under.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So for the we're going to move on now to the Knicks and the Trailblazers, which I'm excited for because I think it's going to be in New York, and I think the Knicks are going to pull out a victory over their Western Conference opponents. I think they're going to pull out a large victory over them. What we're looking at is a 4.5 point. I think it was the spread is 4.5, and we're looking at the total being 232. I'm kind of comfortable with that for this setup.
Oh yeah, I mean the Knicks are gonna beat the stink out of them. Okay, and they're coming off a back-to-back. Okay, so
and they're gonna be home.
Yeah, they're gonna beat the stink out of Portland.
Now, do you lean over on this, or are you leaning under?
This is a 135. Knicks are gonna score a lot of points.
Okay.
Portland is gonna score too. But they're not. This is more like a 130-110 game. So yeah, they'll go over that with 232 mark.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. Moving on, we're going to the Raptors versus the 76ers with the player of the week, Jarius Gains.
Okay. Well, the numbers say the 76ers should win with defensive intensity and scoring balance and whatnot. And then Maxey stays hot, which he has been. They're leaning toward the under, okay, of the 223. This is a division game, Raptors and Philly, okay. They're both in the same division. This game will end under.
Yeah.
Okay? This will be an under game. Both teams.
Why not a mid to over?
And there's no such thing. It's either under or over.
Well, why not an over?
Why not an over? You know something? I think about it.
Because don't they got Edgecombe over there with Maxey?
Philly played last night, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so did they play last night?
No. They played. Yeah.
Okay. It's Sunday, and they are where? It's Sunday. Let me see where they at. They're in Toronto, aren't they?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, so that means what's his name's not playing. So they're gonna run.
Team on the right is the home team always, right? So then they're in Philly.
Oh, they're in Philly?
Yeah, because if we go based on the other,
okay.
They're in Philly.
So they're in Philly. He should be playing today. Is it in the afternoon or evening? He should be playing.
He should be playing. But I mean, Edgecombe. I believe this is gonna hit it because of Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey. I think they're gonna go out there and be guns blazing against the Raptors. I don't see the Raptors having any necessarily dominant defense to stop either one of them from having high performance scoring games. And Edgecombe has been coming in hot this season. And once again, Edgecombe is another.
Oh, he's starting. He ain't the bench.
Oh, he's coming off. He's starting in.
He's starting. Yeah, he ain't on the bench.
What do they got coming off the bench over there in Philly?
I have no idea.
Me neither. All right. Well, we also have the Heat versus the Thunder. We got a spread of 14.5, and
where are they playing? They're playing in Miami.
I believe they're playing in Miami.
Okay, so here's I don't need. This is the easiest bet of the night. Something's wrong with OKC.
No, I'll tell you what's happening. See, ladies and gentlemen, not to do a shameless plug, but over at Dream Team Action Hoops on the Dream Match Simulator YouTube channel, a friend of mine and myself have started what we call Dream Team Action Hoops. And we play 2K25, 26, 24. We play all the various 2Ks, and we've created our own universe of basketball and having a great time using the My Eras mode locally. Kind of couch play style. And what I've noticed is when you develop a solid team that is taking advantage of a play style that is becoming more accruable in today's natural game, where you play to the advantage of the game structure and not to the advantage of your success, we noticed that somebody was getting away with a specific type of play style, and we were witnessing what some people would call a damaging play style to the game. Ladies and gentlemen, we are halfway through the beginning of the season, almost finished with the beginning half of the season. You do realize that they're catching on to how somebody plays basketball. And they're realizing they have to make specific adjustments with their team and having to reevaluate their team because somebody keeps getting away with 4,000 fouls a game. So if you're going to play to the advantage of running into me and shooting the ball because that gets you to the line and gets you a guaranteed high percentage shot.
Who are you talking about? Are you talking about SGA from OKC?
I think I'm talking about SGA from OKC.
Yes. OKC got SGA.
And what we're witnessing...
And he likes to run into people.
And then the rest... Hey, more power to you if you get away with it. LeBron's been doing it for years.
True.
At least he doesn't tell people they got to get out the stadium when they say stuff bad about his statistically poor showings. Anyway, let's be fair and clear here. SGA, you're getting spotted. And the teams are now preparing for your showing up and doing your foolishness. And it's not to say that you're not great gaming. You're a great inside shooter. You make miraculous shots, and your three-pointers are coming around, dude. You're an amazing player. You just play running into people. And while that's all fine and dandy for playing for the ref's favorite, you do realize that people are going to start adjusting to that. And all you're going to get in response is you're going to have to play tighter defense. Because now you're going to have to outscore your foul shots. And you're going to have to guarantee your perimeter shooting is outscoring your internal shooting because now everybody's going to play to the fact that they have to shoot outside before you can get a chance to shoot multiple inside. So if they're getting defensive stops on you before you can get your fouls and then running and gunning, that's their new play style against you because you don't get back on defense pretty fast, kid. So I'm witnessing people realize that you're not the guy we're prostrating you to be because you won last year. And what won you the game last year is starting to cost you the season this year. So I would say I agree in that context that Miami has an opportunity to expose the Heat, but more than likely they're going to cover that 14.5 spread. What you got on the Bucks and the Nuggets? What you think Giannis and Jokic is going to have fun with?
Nothing. The Nuggets are going to. I mean, Giannis shot his load the other night in LA. That was a good game. They'll be in Denver.
Yeah.
With the altitude, and Denver will. Well, what's his name had 17 assists the other night, so now he'll probably drop 40 in points.
Probably, yeah.
Murray. So. Yeah, because the Bucks have no backcourt. So, that's right. The Bucks have no backcourt. I said it, Mr. Well, I can't even pronounce his name. They don't have a backcourt.
Zero.
So the Nuggets, Jamal Murray will have a field day today, and he said the Bucks are slightly favored. Only in the Bible they slightly favored. So anyway. Talk about the Suns and the Wizards. You go ahead. Hey, wait a minute. Trae Young's going to play his first game as a Wizard.
Ladies and gentlemen. Tonight will be a witnessing occurrence in Washington State. We will see one of the greatest showdowns in shooting history. Tonight, Devin Booker... I'm predicting this now, ladies and gentlemen, so don't hate me today. Hate me later. Devin Booker and Trae Young are going to put on a scoring performance. Trae Young has a great opportunity right now to reinvent himself and resubmit himself as a solid carrying leadership role that needs a team built around him perfectly and not built around him to a coach's standards.
However, he's 6'1", he can't guard nobody. So... That 14-point favorite that the Suns have, it should be 20 because they're going to kill the Wizards.
So while I do think that Trae is going to have an outstanding offensive performance, the ass whooping that is going to occur is going to be well documented on of Miami victory on January 19th if that happens. Because what Michael Irving does to any orange container with the opposite team's jersey on after that victory is exactly what's going to happen tonight to the Wizards.
With that note, the Warriors-Hawks game,
234 is what they're saying is going to be scored tonight.
Okay, well, we all know that the Warriors can't no longer play defense, but they can score. And Atlanta?
Who's over there?
Where?
Trey's not there no more, right?
Oh, Jalen Johnson.
Do you believe that Hawks team is going to showcase their no Trey Young offense to be more proficient without Trey Young?
They've been doing it. Trey's been injured. He's only played 10 games this season for Atlanta. Only 10. Okay. Atlanta's like 3 games under 500, but they're averaging over 130 points a game. They'll be fine. And we already know what Steph and the boys like to do. Run and shoot threes. Yeah. Okay, so that 234, they'll probably score about 250 between the both of them. All right? There ain't nobody playing no defense. Should Golden State win? Maybe not. I'll put it this way. I would take Atlanta in the points.
I agree.
I would take Atlanta.
I'm going to take Atlanta in the points on the over for that. So if you're out there betting, Atlanta's your team to go with. Real quick reminder, let's talk about some of these players of the week. Let's close this out. We're going to close this predictions out with just reminding you who's out there and who's showing the heck out. And we're going to talk about some of the over and under trends that you should keep what Vegas is looking at for this week and how the money moved for the week going for the week prior to today, prior to Sunday. Tyrese Maxey of the 76ers.
Our player of the week.
Our player of the week. Tyrese Maxey. 76ers. Maxey didn't just score this week, he controlled games. While the league's official player of the week award technically covered the final days of December, Maxey carried that momentum straight into January. And by the time this week wrapped, he was playing some of the most unstoppable basketball in the NBA this week. I mean, across this stretch, he averaged 35 points a game. He was shooting 61% from the field, 54 from the three. He's averaging damn near 9 assists. He's averaging dang near seven rebounds and 2 steals. That's not hot. That's efficiency in max value.
That's why he's Maxey.
Maximum performance.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's what she said. Anyway. Pause. Anyway.
Hey, pause in fact. You know what I mean? Hey, man, look. Maxey made it special this week. He turned it up. He had defenders buried under threes with these screens. They were chasing him over everywhere, and he was blowing past everybody. He was hot. He was there, and he was cool.
He did his thing.
Honorable mentions. Devin Booker. You want to talk about Dev? You want to talk about the honorable mentions? I lit up for you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay, Booker's game-winning 3 against OKC wasn't just a highlight. It was a tone setter. You know, the moment Phoenix desperately needed leadership, Booker delivered with calm confidence and cold-blooded execution, okay? That shot changed the Suns' week, quite honestly, all right? And I looked for them to go into next week doing quite well. Another honorable mention is a duo from the Denver Nuggets, Peyton Watson and Jamal Murray. You know, Watson, he's been a good, solid role player for the Nuggets this season, and he blew up against Boston when they needed him. 30 points. That was cool. And then Murray was just passing the ball to everybody with them 17 assists, and it showcased why Denver remains one of the most smartest, dangerous teams in basketball. I do believe they are 3rd in the Western Conference right now in standings. So they're, but they got, Jokic too.
In all fairness, I mean, Watson and Murray sound like a really good male-centered divorce lawyer team. You know what I'm saying? They want to get single dads off the hook from these crazy moms. Go visit Watson and Murray.
Moving right along. If we have one more thing, that would be a Charlotte Hornets. And like I said, ESPN's number one play on Saturday night had to be a falling down LaMelo Ball, throwing the ball up in the air, and watching Brandon Miller just catch it and cuff it. That was one of the highlights of the thing. But the thing is that Charlotte won all their games this week by blowing teams out. They averaged 132 points in 3 victories this past week. So they made bear watching. Just saying.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna go over with you what Vegas was looking at this week. Talk about what's been going on in Vegas. Just letting you know, a lot of adjustments by Sunday. Okay, high-scoring teams like Cleveland, Charlotte, and Indiana had pushed totals of upwards across the board. One of the most discussed lines of the day was the Pelicans versus the Magic, over under 234. That's a massive number. And it tells you exactly how the market was thinking. The pace was up, shooting percentages was high, and defenses were struggling to slow elite guards. Games earlier in the week kept smashing over the sports books responded by inflating totals, but bettors kept firing anyway. I'm talking about player props, the Massey effect. One of the hottest tickets of the entire week was Tyrese Maxey had over 2.5 made threes, and it became automatic play. Like he was out there killing. Maxey wasn't just shooting, he was shooting better. Defenses were forced to respect his drive. They were forced to collapse. They were forced to push in deep, and he was able to pop the ball out. He was able to get to open mans, and he was able to take open shots more often because they were more concerned with his play. Point spreads. 2 teams that stood out for the point spreads this week is the Bad Boy 2.0 Pistons and them Killer Bees, the Charlotte Hornets, killing it down there on the East. And I gotta say, are the Pistons technically in the West or they in the East?
Oh, they're the top team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
The Pistons are.
Okay, yeah. Because they're over there killing it. I'll say this in closing. If there was one pattern that dominated the 5th to the 11th this week, the Western Conference games are hitting over. So if you're betting in the West, over's your guarantee this part of the season. You're in the beginning of the season. Everybody's trying to showcase their high-hitting numbers. We're not close enough to the playoffs where anybody's playing team basketball. We're not going to see any Spurs 2008 Spurs ball movement. We're not going to see any 2004 paint movement. We're not going to see any Iverson dribbles until the end of the season. We're not going to see any more highlight dunks. Right now is about getting selfish basketball done. I'm getting my points. I'm hitting the betting numbers and getting my overs for whatever the Vegas scores are going. And I'm getting my name out there and pushing my team as the natural leader so that when we start setting up for the playoffs, I am that number one option. That's the kind of basketball we're looking at right now.
When you talk about how a lot of the, especially in the Western Conference, you have to look at the teams that's in the Western Conference. OKC is an offensive juggernaut. So is Denver. So is Minnesota. So is San Antonio.
Yeah.
Okay. We
Golden
are hitting
State.
Golden State as well. The Lakers, whether you like them or not. Okay. All of these, the Clippers. Okay. These guys score. So, even the Utahs and the Sacramentos and the Portlands, they score too. What's happening is that the good teams are trying to make sure that their bench is strong enough for the stretch run, because teams are changing their philosophy. Used to be you would shorten your rotation when the playoffs come in. They're not doing that anymore because they want everybody to have enough firepower to get them through to the next round. So what you're seeing is people working on their benches. So nobody's playing defense. They're just executing. And executing means scoring, which means there's going to be a lot of it.
Yep.
Sure, will the good teams beat the bad teams?
Of course.
Yes, but those inflated spreads, they don't hit often, but the over does. So, at least for the Western Conference, not so much the East, but at least for the Western Conference, yeah. Or if an Eastern Conference good team is playing anybody in the Western Conference,
yeah,
them scores are going to be up.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, it's Detroit or the Knicks.
Yeah, they are an anomaly.
Because they will shut you down. But Boston doesn't have enough defense to shut anybody down. Philly doesn't either. But Detroit, New York, Orlando. If they're playing anybody on the West, it's going to seem like an NBA Finals. So those points will be low, especially if they're playing each other. But the weak sisters of the Eastern Conference, they're getting crushed. But if the weak sisters of the Eastern Conference are going out West, they'll get crushed, but they'll be able to score 2. So probably until the end of February, you can count on any over-unders in the Western Conference to be over.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. I did not go over on the Western Conference this year. And I thank you for joining the Gains Report. You have a good Sunday.
You too.